Welcome to Venture with Joe and Cody, where we take a deep dive into the minds of leaders and innovators making a real impact today. I'm Joe.
And I'm Cody. And we're here to bring you the raw stories, the successes, and the setbacks that these trailblazers have experienced in their journey to where they are today.
Every week, we sit down with a new guest who's ready to share their insight and advice on business, entrepreneurship, and making a difference in their community. From local community members to industry experts, you're going to get the unfiltered truth behind their success.
So whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned professional, or just curious about the business world, join us for a journey of learning and inspiration.
So let's grab a drink, settle in, and let's get started. This is Venture with Joe and Cody. Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of Venture with Joe and Cody. My name is Joe Skipper. I'm the owner of Skipper Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty here in Oregon, and I'm with my friend Cody Wilhelm with Residential Mortgage up in Washington, but serves multiple states, right, Cody?
Serves multiple states. I'm still an Oregonian at heart. I just,
Yeah.
my place of residence is in Washington.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
You do.
Well, I'm going to apologize first. I was just talking to you about it. I have AirPods in and not the proper equipment today, but I'm just working on upgrading some of my equipment. So I apologize for any audio or video issues, but you're just going to have to deal with it.
You know what? You still look good. So that's all that matters.
This is why we work together so well.
That's all people are getting on here to do is just see you.
Oh, man. Well, we know you're lying, but I appreciate it. No, I wanted to just, today's a little different. We're not going to have a guest on because we were talking earlier and just kind of thought, hey, no one knows about us really. Whoever may be listening, our moms know, and they're the ones probably listening to us, or our wives, which aren't listening to us. But
right. Yeah. Who are these mystery men?
Yes. For anyone that is, that just new to us, I just kind of thought it'd be cool to talk about, where you and I got to where we got and why we're doing this podcast, or why why we're at this point and the different difficulties and issues that we had that led up to this.
Yeah.
And maybe can help some people understand a little bit, kind of our journey and see if they're going through the same one. And if they had any issues or questions, we could help with that. So anyways, I just wanted to see, I know you and I know what happened, but kind of how did you get your start in the lending world? Like, where'd you, let's start from like how we kind of know each other and then where you got up to like, where we're at now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'll start back like say early 20s. Anyways, so Joe and I, we know each other from high school. We weren't in the same grade, but we knew each other. It's small town, everybody kind of knows everybody. So we had a history of knowing each other. I guess you and I'm talking to the people, but, so we had this, but I was always doing construction related work. That's just kind of what I knew. Everybody that I knew growing up, it was like, you get a job with this family friend that did concrete or framing or whatever it was. And kind of just went down that path and never really had any ideas of getting out of it. I did. So at one point I was working for Kerr Contractors. We were doing underground utilities. I was probably 22-ish, maybe right around there. And I actually really enjoyed that job. It was kind of fun. The guys that I worked with are super cool. But after I was there for a year and a half, maybe, they told me they were probably all in their 40s around that time. And they kept telling me like, dude, you need to get out of this industry. Like, you're going to just beat your body up. Like, we wish that we would have gotten out years and years ago, but after a while you just get used to it. The pay is pretty good, like why I didn't go to college or anything. Yeah. And so I took that and kind of started to run with it a little bit, going, all right, well, maybe I should look into more. Construction is all I've ever known. It's what I enjoy doing, but yeah, I guess, it probably does take a toll on your body. So anyways, fast forward a handful of years, I've kind of just bounced around different jobs, not really knowing what I wanted to do, but I'm trying to work my way out of construction type jobs. So I could spend a whole way too long to go through all the different varieties of jobs that I've done. But I've done Comcast door-to-door sales. I've done bee exterminating. I've worked as a maintenance guy at a 24-hour fitness. Just kind of whatever I could do just to get some direction. So is this
post-construction or is this?
Yes.
Okay.
This is post-construction.
You're just trying to figure out your life.
Yeah, just trying to figure out like, okay, what do
Okay.
I want to do? You know, because
Okay.
I was never, and I still, I guess, am not really that person that's like, here's what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to go do no matter what. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm just going to kind of find my path as I go because I didn't really care. So I'm like, maybe if I get in with 24-hour fitness as a maintenance guy and I work my way up to a supervisor, and that's great. Like, I don't really care. I just want to make enough money that I can live, and when I get a family, support that family. So no real direction, just go and make some money. So the last job I had, I started to kind of get into a little bit more of the sales side of things because I had more people telling me you should get into sales. I'm like, I hate sales people. Sorry, no offense to salespeople out there, but I was just like, I don't feel like I'm that person. I can't really do that. And then, so I got into doing door-to-door sales for Comcast, and
I feel like I can't do it, so let's do the hardest type of sale
yes,
that's possible, which is knocking on doors that people don't want to
oh,
talk to you.
I
Like,
tell you what, that will put some
it's
tough
a
skin on
nightmare.
you. So
Like,
yeah, I did that for about a year, and it went exactly like you would think and like I thought it would. It was just, I'm not the type of person. I'm not a good door-to-door salesperson. I was the type of person that they're like, no, no, thanks. I'm like, okay, cool. Here you go. Here's my card.
you're already
And then
walking away.
yeah, and
Like,
then I go on to the next one, and you realize over time, like that doesn't work. Like you
yeah.
have to be that hardcore salesperson that's like doesn't take no for an answer. And I wish that I was that person, but I'm just not built that way. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. So I realized over time, like I'm not good at this. I can't do this. I got to figure something else out. And at the time, our oldest was probably a year old, maybe 2 years old. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have any direction as far as a career goes. So, anyways, we're part of this small group within our church, and we're talking about stuff. And I'm like, hey, I could really use some prayer. Like, I'm barely making any money to pay our rent. I don't know where to go from here. Like, I'm just trying to figure something out. And so, one of the guys that was in our group, he said, hey, my assistant's going to be potentially having some stuff come up. Maybe you could get into this business. Maybe I could kind of help you get in and get your feet wet. So he did. He got me, I didn't end up working with him right away, but he got me an interview, and I started, and it kind of just all went from there. Like, I had no idea what I was getting into. I didn't have any passion for it. Like, it wasn't something I was driven to do. We rented, so I'd never owned a home. So I didn't even really know what a mortgage was. And then it just kind of went from there. And it was, first year's tough. Second year got a little better. Third year gets a little bit better. And before you know it, you're kind of building momentum. It's like, okay, I think I've got this, not that I have it all figured out, but I think I'm starting to understand like what this takes, what I need to do, and how to kind of grow the business. And so now I think 11 years in, and it's just like I would have never known. And now after probably the first 3 years, I realized this is my career. Like, I can confidently say, this is my career. This is what I want to do. This is what I enjoy doing. It's a great mix of everything that I feel like is comfortable for me. Yes, there's sales involved, but it's more relationship sales than it is like, I'm not trying to sell you or somebody else a product for them to buy right away. I'm trying to sell that I'm going to provide a great service to them, and also provide, a great product as well. But it's more of like building relationships, building trust. And that's so much more of a sales type of platform that I'm comfortable with, because I'm, like I said, I just couldn't sell a product consistently and it's also like, you have to really believe in that product.
Yeah.
And, I didn't start Comcast. I've had Comcast, but it's not like it was my thing. And I'm going to sell it because this is everything that I believe in. So, long story long, kind of just fumbled my way into it. And it's been the greatest thing. I mean, I really had no idea about the industry. I didn't know how many different parties are involved in buying or selling a house, like title companies, insurance, real estate agents, lender. I mean, there's just a lot of people that are involved in that process, and a lot of cool opportunities to meet people and build relationships and, reconnect with you. And so it's been a really cool experience, but definitely a lot of struggles, especially those first couple of years too, because I got in 2013. So the market, the economy, everything was starting to pick up and build momentum. So I got in, after everything had crashed and slowly started to rebuild. So, good time, I guess, to get in. But,
Yeah.
I think with anybody that's starting out, it's always a struggle because you just don't know. You don't have any confidence. You don't really know what you're supposed to say. Like, you want to learn everything, but you also have to go out and talk to people and meet people. So it's kind of like that balance of, I need to go out and meet and talk to people, but I also don't know what to
Don't,
say and what I'm
yeah, I
supposed
don't
to
know what I'm
say. And
talking
what,
about.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So it kind of just like fumble your way through it. And one thing that I realized early on too is most people don't care if you say, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that was always
For sure.
intimidating to me because I'm like, I don't want to be viewed as the person that doesn't know. And I
For
don't
sure.
know everything, that's for sure. But I realized after a little bit of time when you say, I don't know, let me find out and get back to you. They're like, okay, cool. I don't need to know the answer this second. If you can just get back to me and let me know. And that took a lot of weight off of me early on, because then it didn't feel like I have to know everything.
Yeah.
Or otherwise I'm going to sound like an idiot, because I can find lots of other ways to sound like an idiot.
Yeah.
But that was a kind of a big thing for me, was realizing I don't have to be an expert right away. Like eventually maybe I'll get to that point where I'm viewed as more of an expert, but there's so many things that change all the time that it's like, you got to be in it deep to really be, to be able to know every single question that's asked of you at any given time. Because I never want to tell somebody, yes, this is exactly what it is, because that guideline could have changed 3 months ago. Yeah. And so most of the time it's, 95% confidence, but.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say, because I think that is what people like in our industry, especially, go through, and to have that happen to you so quickly, to say, I don't need to know anything, is really, I think you were on the forefront of it, because I think that there's that fine balance of portraying yourself as an expert so that people want to use you, but not being so expert that you're faking it and you don't know what you're talking about. And then people find out later you had no idea what you're talking about. That's difficult. And it was difficult for me too in real estate, because everything that you see and every coach that you learn from, and there's not very many people that really get into the nitty gritty of how crappy it is in that beginning of being in that weird spot of like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. But every video I watch and everything I see says, you need to portray yourself as an expert. You need to portray yourself as an expert. And you're like, well, I'm not an expert. So what do I do now? And so part of it is having the humility of being like, look, I may not be, 7, 8, 10 years in this industry, but I have this, or I can provide you with this, or I can, you have to kind of work around that, and use it as kind of, it's there, but not to use it, not to see it as a weakness necessarily. I think that was hard. That's still hard to this day, but I think it's very hard in the beginning, because you're just like, man, I need to show everyone I'm an expert, but I am not, and I have no clue. And really,
and
it just takes time.
And having people, or at least a person, that mentor type of person that you can go to, that was big for me once I kind of figured out who that person was. To be able to, whether it's somebody that's outside of your company or it's somebody within that's like, oh man, every time I go to this person, they're usually pretty quick to respond. They can get me the right answer. So then that builds my confidence, knowing, all right, well, if I say I don't know, then I can reach out to them and I should have an answer back within, say, 30 minutes or so. That's huge, because, you go through and spend hours looking up guidelines and trying to figure it out. And then it's still like, I think this is what we're supposed to do. So it's kind of cool to be, still, I still am definitely that same, I still don't know everything. But, fast forward some time and now I get to be that person for other people. I get to be able to help train new people into like what to do, because everybody still has the same feeling of like, what, I don't know what to say. I feel like I need to really understand how to do all these things. And it's like, well, you can kind of learn that on the fly. Like, you just need to go out and start talking to people. And when you run into things, like, reach out to me. And if I don't know, I'll reach out to somebody else. We'll get you that answer so that you don't have to feel like you're on an island. So it's kind of fun. Like that side of it too, just being able to help other people get to that point of feeling confident and knowing that, all right, I don't have to know everything, but I have people in my corner that can find that answer for me.
Now, how did you find your mentor? And I asked that because, again, that's one of those things that everyone says when they're down the road, me and you, get a mentor, find a mentor. And I hated it because it was like, I don't know how to find one. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about because everyone says, like, oh, this mentor, this, get a mentor, hire a mentor, whatever the case might
Uh-huh.
be. How did you do? What did you do to get a mentor, or did it naturally fall into your lap?
Yeah, it actually naturally fell into my lap. It was not to go down too far of a path, but the first company I was with, I was only there for about 6 months. And then the guy that got me into the business, he wanted to go and kind of team up. So we had to go to a different company in order to do that. And when I did that, my manager at the time, who was still my current manager, years later, he was that guy for me. And I didn't even know him at all. His name's Jake Carlisle. He was that guy for me. And I remember specifically, so I'm like within, I'm less than a year into the business. I'm still trying to figure things out, trying to kind of understand things. And I remember going to him and saying, hey, here's what I want to do. I want to start kind of building a plan here of what I need to do. And he took what I asked and he mapped it all out for me. He bought me books to be able to provide to people, a bunch of gift cards. Like he just helped encourage me and say, okay, this is what you want to do. I'm going to map this out for you and make it even easier. And then it just kind of slowly built from there. So it's like, go through this campaign, if you will. And then it kind of just turned into, we would just go back and forth and I'd come to him with ideas or thoughts and he'd take that and put his own little spin on it. I'm like, yes, perfect. Okay, this is great. Like this fits. And then over the years, like he started, I think, to understand me more and what I was comfortable with, maybe what I was good at. And then he's just kind of always been that encouragement, that sounding board for me. So not even so much of like telling me the things that I need to do or giving me these like insider tips or anything. It was really just having that person that I knew and I know that I can go to with
Yeah.
any idea or thought or problem or whatever. And he's right there in it with me. Let me find out from this person, or have you thought about this? So I was fortunate, I guess, to just have an opportunity to work with him. And then we've just worked together for like almost probably 9 or 10 years now, maybe right around there. So
I think that's cool because I
yeah.
think that, when I went through the process and you're learning from all these studs and these people that are just dominant in the industry and you watch YouTube videos and you do all this stuff and it was just so, I don't know, I got so formalized about it that I don't think I went about it the right way when I did it. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, provide value to this person that you respect, and then they will start providing. It was almost like this kind of dating game. And
Mm,
in a way it was, but I would suggest, and I don't know if you'll suggest the same thing to new people coming in or people struggling, is like, relax. Like,
yeah.
someone comes into your life, and I'm not saying it's that easy all the time for everyone, but someone should come into your life if you just relax, meet people, network, and you'll find someone that connects to you like you did. It's just you find someone
Hmm.
that naturally is connected to you and allows that to happen and wants to do that. I
Yeah.
know that's not possible for everyone, but what I find a lot is with new people is like this desire so much to have a mentor that you
Yeah.
almost see the desperation on them, and so they meet these people and they're like trying to almost apply for the job of mentee,
Uh-huh.
and so I think, like, yes, I think we see these things on our videos and on our motivational stuff of like, you got to get a mentor. You got to get a mentor. This is going to help
Yeah.
you with everything. And so people are like, how do I get a mentor? And then they go in this
Uh-huh.
race of like trying to interview mentors. And it's like,
Right.
just chill out and just meet community, meet successful people and just enjoy their company.
Yeah.
And that comes with that. Be yourself. Because what I found is that desperation comes in, especially when you're new and you're like, I need
Yeah.
work. I need work and I need someone to
Right.
help me, show me how to work. Like,
Hmm.
so, anyways, that's kind of
Yeah.
what I've been, my
Well,
little 2 cents of advice to people that are
eh, eh,
struggling with that.
yeah, and I totally agree. And I think sometimes, we put him in a box too of like, this person needs to be in my industry doing the exact same thing that I do. And
Hmm.
I don't think that that's necessarily the case. Like, sales is sales, relationships are like whatever you want to categorize it at. But I feel like you could have a great mentor and somebody that has absolutely nothing to do with what you do. And
Yeah.
it's really more of like an encourager, somebody to bounce ideas off of, because they're going to have a completely different perspective. Like
Yeah.
if you went to somebody and you're like, hey, from somebody that doesn't know much about the real estate side of things, how would you feel about this, blah, 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 blah? Like as a consumer, as somebody
Yeah.
that would be, using
Sure.
this type of product, and you can get genuine good feedback, and then maybe they're, so like, I think sometimes obviously it's nice to have them in the industry because then they know the ins and outs, but
For sure.
I think sometimes it's just having that person, even if it's your spouse, like somebody to bounce ideas off of, and pick you up when you're down, and maybe not let you get too high when things are going really good. They can kind of humble you a little bit, but also when you're feeling like I couldn't close a deal to save my life, they bring in perspective and everything. Somebody just to kind of help hit that reset button or a little bit. But
yeah, I think successful people just are easy. Like they'll just follow successful people, and that doesn't have to be like you're riding on their coattails. It's like, even with technology nowadays, is having people that you follow on YouTube, having people that you follow on social media that do podcasts, whatever it may be, that you can listen to them, learn from them, take tidbits from what they do, and let me try that out. But yeah, it's just an interesting process with the mentor thing.
I know.
I personally don't think, like, this may be controversial, but when you started talking about mentors as in like wives or friends or things, like, I think I can relate to that a lot more. I didn't have a formal mentor, someone that was like, but I do have, and still do have, successful people that, I can reach out to and get ideas off of. So yeah, it's not one size fits all for sure.
No, definitely not.
You think it when you see all these success stories and people like, oh, this is what I did. You got to do that. Like, I've learned a lot of, like, your business is your business, and how you run it is how you run it. And there is a general path to success, but there's also offshoots that you can do it this way, or you can do it this way and meet back up in that general path. So So you went into lending, but like, what I found, and you'll probably agree with me, is there's no one that like grows up. And I think it's the same with real estate, maybe better with real estate. No one grows up to say like, I want to be a lender,
right?
A mortgage. Like, my wife did lending for 15 years with Bank of America, and she came out of college and it kind of just fit in that niche. It was like, okay, cool. Like, let's do it. Is that kind of the same? Like, what continues to attract you to lending, knowing that it wasn't what you wanted to do and never probably even thought about it?
That's
what continues to attract that to you?
Good question. I think for me, there's definitely a comfort, of knowing not everything again, but knowing enough and understanding kind of what you need to be doing overall. It's like you go into a new business, a new career, and you're like, wow, I have no idea. Like, I have so much learning to do. And then after a year, you find out if you even like it or not. So like, for one thing, I think for me, it's that I do genuinely enjoy the whole process of everything. There are obviously bumps in the road and tough times, but overall, as a whole, I love what I do. There's a lot of flexibility. Obviously there's good income that can be made from it. I think the flexibility part of it for me is huge, because having kids, being married, life happens, being able to step away as needed, work from home for a day, come home early for a sports, for a game, for whatever it might be, having that flexibility and knowing that I can work on this stuff at night, do it over the weekend, whenever it is. I kind of have, we're more or less self-employed, even though we're employees. You're more self-employed in the sense of your scheduling. So the flexibility is huge for me for having a family. To where I know that I can do that at any given time. That's been huge for me. And again, just genuinely enjoying what I do. I've racked my brain before of like, are there other things out there maybe that I could be doing? And I start going through different categories and ideas. And I'm like, I just don't know that I could find anything that I enjoy like I do. And have the freedom and the flexibility and great people that I work with. And it just kind of feels like it's, for me at this point in my life, like this is the absolute best thing that I can be doing, and being very happy with it too. So I feel like it's just kind of naturally turned into that. And I realized after probably a couple years too, that every job that I would have prior to, it was after about a year or so, I kind of like, I'm the person that is more than happy to start at the very bottom and work my way up, because I don't know. I guess that's kind of how it's always been. You start a new job and you're at the bottom and you work your way up, and you get to a certain point where you go, I don't know that I want to continue this path here with this company or this career. Like, I've seen enough that I don't think this is what I want to do. So then I go to the next one. And I never had that once I got into this business. It was, I think, a big part of it too. Do you have that tease of the commission too? Right. So like you start making some money and you go, oh man, there's some potential here. But then whatever you close this month, now I got to get next month. So you're never really like feeling satisfied. Even when you have a good month, a good year, whatever, it's always like, okay, but what are you doing next month?
Yeah.
Oh, well, shoot, I guess I can't get too excited with what I'm doing now because I have to do this every day, every month, forever. And I think that kind of just creates a fresh, new feel. Every interaction that you have is different. Every conversation, every loan is very different. Like there's no like, oh, okay, same loan, same thing every time. It can be, I get the same loan for 10 different people and have a variety of different things that are going on, and it kind of keeps you on your toes. And so it's
well, what I know we were gonna go, like, I think based on time we'll just do my stuff another day because I have a ton of questions for you. Like,
right.
But, no, I was thinking of when you got into it, what I've found, and maybe I'm overgeneralizing, is that there's a lot of lender hopping for lenders, or people, you get employed by X company and all of a sudden 6 months from now they're employed by X company because it's the better one, and then they jump. And I'm wondering, first off, what is that makes them do it, and two, what got you into what you're doing? Like, what would you suggest to people that are in that kind of maybe realm of like, man, I'm struggling with business. Ooh, look at this shiny object over here. This lending company is promising me this. I think that happens in real estate too, but in the lending side particularly, what would you suggest to people that are on that, maybe like, things are struggling, but my buddy said that this company is going to make my life, like, tell me a little bit about like kind of your journey, and then what you would suggest to people that are thinking that.